Okay, so the ambassador was killed uh, recently in Libya. The U.S. ambassador to Libya. The president releases a statement today, early today. Mitt Romney turns it into a political game, saying that Obama did not condemn. Of course, he condemns it, but he was pinpointing the fact apparently that Obama didn't act fast enough on condemning the atrocity. Anybody in their right mind would condemn the atrocity. So, it doesn't take a genius, but Romney is using it for purely political motivation. This out from the dailynews.com says, quote, all things foreign seem foreign to Mitt Romney. He says he'll save the American economy while banking in Switzerland and the Cayman Islands. He says he'll create American jobs as his company Bain Capital outsources jobs to China. He insults the Brits during the Olympics. He denigrates the Palestinian people as culturally inferior on a trip to Israel. He fails to even mention 190,000 American troops serving in Afghanistan in his convention speech, and he still calls Russia the Soviet Union and labels it America's #1 enemy. If John Kerry was right when he said at the Democratic Convention the last time Romney saw Russia was in Rocky IV, then the only thing he knows about Libya comes from watching Sacha Baron Cohen's The Dictator. Now it's Romney's Libya gaffe on the anniversary of 9/11. So on September 11th, as the nation mourned the heroes and victims of September 11th attacks as nonpartisan Americans, with all the name-calling between the Obama and Romney camps on hiatus for one mournful day, U.S. Ambassador to Libya John Christopher Stevens and 3 other Americans were killed by religious fanatics who stormed the American consulate in Benghazi with grenade launchers and machine guns. Also, now, reading on here, these savages were induced to murder because some fanatical Islamic cleric cited some obscure film made by an even more anonymous American filmmaker that had about as much chance of being released as the last 10 years of Romney's tax returns. Several hours before the murders, as anti-American protests swelled, the U.S. Embassy in Cairo condemned the continuing efforts by misguided individuals to hurt the religious feelings of Muslims, as we condemn the efforts to offend believers of all religions. The White House quickly said they never approved that statement, claiming it doesn't reflect the views of the U.S. government. And then all hell broke loose. 4 Americans were murdered in Benghazi. By 10 p.m., before the last beacon of light dimmed on Ground Zero, before taps had finished echoing through lower Manhattan, before the grieving family members had gone to bed on a politics-free day, apparently, Romney headquarters issued an embargoed statement to the media on the barbaric attacks. The campaign okayed its release at 12:01, right after September 11th, so apparently they'd be pretty politically correct. He says, I'm outraged by the attacks on American embassy missions in Libya and Egypt, by the death of an American consulate worker in Benghazi. He says, now, here's where it gets political. It's disgraceful. The Obama administration's first response was not to condemn the attacks on our diplomatic missions, but to sympathize with those who waged the attacks. And just to say that Obama is sympathizing with them is just totally crazy, absolutely off the wall and nutty, and he should be exposed for that. No, the president does not condone anything with regard to the attacks. I'm not sure where he's getting this out of thin air, just grabbing. And this author from the Daily News says it's political, it's exploitive, it's opportunistic. As Rudy Giuliani learned when he ran for president, the American people do not like politicians trying to exploit the political message from the blood of our dead. In boxing, a reckless roundhouse punch like Romney is the mark of a desperate amateur, reeling on the ropes after Obama scored a 5-point post-convention bump in the polls. Romney's Libyan punch missed by a mile as we bury more innocent Americans killed on September 11th. It leaves Romney open for the kind of counterpunch from which the best fighters often don't recover. So he's being obviously way too political on this thing, and it's ridiculous. A couple of words on a book that I plan to get fairly soon. It's called Mortality by Christopher Hitchens. Christopher Hitchens, before he died, was writing almost till the end, and in this book talks about how dying maybe changed his spirituality, or maybe it didn't. So it's an interesting book. It's out this week. It's called Mortality by Christopher Hitchens, and I've never seen a better debater in my life. I mean, he was just amazing. Amazing, sharp mind, compassionate for human beings type person. So even though he got the sort of the stereotype of the arrogant, that snob, if you look beyond that, he was quite an amazing man with a great passion for helping the human race. He really, really cared about the irrational beliefs not getting in the way of human progress. He really, really cared about that. So I'll be looking forward to reading Christopher's last book called Mortality. I think there's something on YouTube with his widow too, talking about that fairly recently with Charlie Rose, so you check it out on YouTube. Another book I'm reading right now is The Hunger Games, and this is more of a generic mainstream book for the populace, and actually it's really good writing. I really am enjoying it, and I'm about on page 170, so I've got a ways to go, about halfway through, and book club is Saturday morning, so I better get going on the book. So I'll have a review, a complete review on the Hunger Games coming up probably in a week or so, or less. Good to have my laptop back. By the way, and I won't mention the company's name, but the company couldn't figure out why my camera was upside down, and I had to actually correct it for YouTube. When I put it back to YouTube, I had to correct it back, and they couldn't figure out how to correct it back. So now apparently it's corrected back by actually having to update some drivers, and then changing the registry settings, which apparently were incorrect when the computer was purchased. So there you have it. Registry settings, driver issues, hard drive issues, software issues. I've had about everything you can think of here on this computer. So I hope you're having a great day and enjoy your work day. And again, again with the Romney, it'll be interesting to see what the fallout on Romney's comments being so harshly political, when the president was merely just trying to say we have condolences. There's the Milwaukee radio station, which is far to the right in the commentary this morning, was talking. Charlie Sykes show was talking about how the president was bland. It didn't mention Egypt, and this president was just giving a humble response on how he's sad that we lost lives, and the right-wing radio just dives onto it, just absolutely tries to eviscerate the statement, which is should show you there's no doubt now that the right-wing, the extreme right-wing, is a vicious group of people. So over and out. Have a wonderful day.